Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. I'm Lyndon.
That's I'm Amy.
Oh, shit.
And this Debbie over here.
That's how this is gonna go. That's how this whole thing is gonna go.
And this is Coach's Corner. We help people change their relationship with food and fitness, sharing our perspectives and what life has taught us to help each and every one of you. If you like the videos, share them. Make sure you hit the notification button and subscribe, so that way you get things as they come out, and we continue to do this because, again, we do this for all of you. All right, so last time, what were we talking about? Does anyone remember?
Shit.
Oh, Lord, no one remembers.
I don't remember. Do you remember?
Today is not that day for me.
It was so long ago. Oh, I do remember because it was what came up in the training. It was about
What's about?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Hilarious.
Well,
All right,
No,
we don't know.
let's move on.
That's why we recorded.
That is why we record it. Everyone has been reading this new book, right? Book of Mentors.
Yeah.
Right. We've all read Terry Crews.
Yes.
Great.
I gotta shoot my polo still,
Okay.
but I have.
So the reason I bring up the Terry Crews thing is because we usually use the topic of conversation in order to push things forward. So Terry Crews talked about basically foresight and letting the old go to make room for the new. So I'd like to talk about that, right? We're moving into new territory. Winter's gonna end, spring's coming up.
Whoop, whoop.
So it's time for some things to change.
Rebirth.
Right. Is it a rebirth for you? Is it a continuation? Like, what are you actually doing is a large part of like what gives you what you want. So I would love to actual cover, again, let's say what change in the new season looks like. Maybe letting things die, what you receive from all of the Terry Crews book or that chapter in general, because I think we all got somewhat different messaging.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about the next person as well. Ironically, I did listen to her immediately after Terry Crews, but I wanted to give time in reverence to spending time talking about the things involved, right? So I'm looking people up as we go through the chapters and then kind of reading something about them, learning something about them, and then using it. So let's do that here, okay? Let's take a moment to reflect on it, maybe share one of the lessons we took away, and then, of course, help people connect with it on a mental, physical, and spiritual level. We'll start.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I could start, but you didn't speak in the last one.
Oh,
Nobody knows that.
oh.
Yes, they do, because they subscribe and watch tweets.
They watch them in order.
All right, I'll go first then. For Terry's chapter, I think the biggest thing that because it's been a reoccurring theme for me for the past maybe 3-ish years, 3 or 4, is like just letting people leave, right? And this idea that he said having one bad, however you want to say it, right? One like bad person in your circle will get in the way, right? It'll get in the way of the things that you're looking to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm using air quotes, right? Because they're not a bad person, but maybe the fit is bad, right? Maybe their energy isn't good for you. Whatever they're bringing or not bringing could be to your life is where that is like getting in your way. And I think it's important to remember that stuff, right? As people leave your life, as things fall away, right? I think it's easy to get lost in the losing and not look at like, okay, well, what is that making room for, right? What is that opening up for me? Or what did that relationship do in the season that it was here? I think this idea that friends are forever, there are some forever friends, right? But there are seasoned friends. There's people that come into your life just to fuck shit up and teach you a hard lesson, right? Like, and maybe they weren't a friend at all, but like, I think just recognizing that and being okay letting that stuff go.
Fair.
Solid.
Fair. I definitely remember reading this chapter and looking at it. Just made you think about a lot of different things you may have experienced in that regard, like looking at relationships you have or don't have, looking at instances of people abusing your gifts, which is so interesting because even as I say abusing your gifts, you have to let them do it. Like they're not making you do anything in most aspects. It's a allow thing. So even allowing yourself to be part of specific instances and deal with certain circumstance. I mean, you got to take ownership at one point or another, right? So I like this chapter for that alone, 100%. It is easy to say take ownership, but when the moments come up for where things happen, where you have to take ownership, I mean, it takes a real good long look at yourself in order to realize where you could have done things better. So, agreed.
I liked. He recommended a book, The Master Key.
Yeah.
Master 28 Keys. Yeah, Master Key.
Yeah, I liked what he spoke about, that being a book that he revisits to keep his mindset sharp. He's talking about manifestation and how if you don't like already see it as something that you've done or something that you have, something that where you are, you know, if you want something and you don't already see it in your mind as I have that, then it's going to be harder to manifest. And he's talking about how this book talks about that mindset of envisioning you already being there and then acting from that space. And I think that's a powerful thing. Maybe I'm not so good at, but that made me want to check out the book. Just
Yeah, I actually said that on the polo. I said this seems like something Devin should read.
I didn't watch the polo.
I
I
actually
told
said
you I
that.
gotta get
Catch
to
up,
him
let's
yet.
go.
Yeah.
I already looked that book up. Let's go.
Yeah, I actually got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. I was like, this is something I'd be interested to see what's actually said. Whenever someone who I can respect on some level talks about blueprint for their life, it makes me wonder why. So I look it up, and that's what I did. I would definitely say it's an old book, right? You
Yeah.
can tell it's an old book, but you can also tell it has some lessons that just have stood the test of time. It's not bad at all. So. Read.
I also resonated with that part of the book, but another part of, or not book, chapter, what he said.
Another blood chapter.
What?
What?
One thing I like that he spoke about was like the idea of fear of missing out or doing something when you're not ready because you're afraid of missing out, not necessarily because it resonates with you at the time. And that made me think a lot about myself, but also kind of how our society is set up. Like you're supposed to better finish high school, and then you better finish college, and you better find a partner and buy a house, and da da da. Like I think there's so many like milestones that are normalized in our society that we end up unconsciously going for, that we're not like really checking in with ourselves if that is our definition of success. And I think like in my life I've definitely chased those things without really being as thoughtful as I would have liked. So I like kind of the freedom feeling of, which is kind of something I'm feeling anyway, but the idea of like you're not missing out if you're living your life the way you want to and need to. It's not like don't skip something that's going to be good for you, but like just trusting yourself to know what is actually good for you and not worrying about what you're supposed to look like or what your life is supposed to look like.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, I think if we really look at what the lesson was with this one chapter, it was the art of staying on your path, right? And if you really look at what Terry Crews talked about, like I know he has a book he just released recently that Matt said was really good. I haven't read it yet, but I'm trying to make sure that in the things I read, sometimes I do read for fun, but when I read for fun, I don't bring it here. I would do that on my own. If I read for my own, like I'm probably going to read that long book, the parable
Parisian?
book. Yeah, the Parisian
the
War.
Peloponnesian
I want
Wars?
Yeah, I'm
Peloponnesian War,
I'm probably going to read that one, and I'm probably going to dislike and love it at the same time.
Yeah.
That was Pressfield.
That's what
Yeah,
you
that was
recommended book,
Pressfield's.
right?
Yeah,
I looked that one up too. I was like, that is a dense book.
It's about anywhere between, the one I saw was closer to like 600, 800. Yeah, it's like Bible thick. Like it's a big book.
Yeah, it is.
And to me, the best way to learn is to learn from different aspects and see what actually connects or what comes across as truth. And a lot of the times, if you don't, just in case you don't know what that means, it means that, like, if I want to see if men have the same struggles, then I can do that by looking at men from different walks, different times, different things, and then say, okay, well, if all men struggle with depression, then how was it handled in different spaces and places? If all men felt lonely, then how did men deal with it? And then I could take it a step further. I could say, well, if there were men who were leaders, then how did they deal with what they felt was a heavy burden, right? If there was someone, if there was someone who wasn't considered a good leader at the time, but looked back later as a great leader, what did they do that other people didn't do? Stuff like that. It just helps me. It becomes your blueprint for you, right? What you can do, what you can't. And I think staying reflective like that helps me be a better leader in general. Never feeling like I have it all together, but can learn from it. So this chapter in particular really made me feel like if you're trying to move forward, then you need to actually plan it. It was like an affirmation of how I've had to live my life for the last 3-4 years as well. Things happening that you can't plan for don't work. I'm not getting more time with the way my life is set up. I'm getting less. And because of that, it makes sense that I have to be more pointed on the time I take. I can't waste the time I have. So for me, this book or this chapter itself was very much so a reminder of the urgency of living intentfully and what it does and where it takes you and how it can push you forward. So I do spend my time trying to invest in like people who I know are investing in me. But I also try to make sure I stay creative. I also try to make sure I stay familial, right? I don't try to stay away from the things. And by try, I mean I literally dedicate time to doing that thing. I don't say, hey, maybe I'll just spend 20 minutes. It's like, no, I'm going to go an hour and go there, right? And then having that as the adjustment. Okay, if I want to spend time with my family, I say 2 hours. Okay, something happened. I didn't get home until I had only 30 minutes left. Well, how do I make sure that that doesn't happen again? It's just really being intentful with what I decide to do. And the part that got me the most was speaking to the non-existent grandkids, because the grandkids came from a reflective space of this is what they see it as. So no matter what said, it was just very honest and it was very loud. I wish I had more people like that in my life who spurred me to greatness. If you're lucky, you get 2, maybe 3. And that's it, right? You don't get a ton who stand next to you and push you in spite of how they feel, et cetera, et cetera. You're lucky you get 1, maybe 2. You're real fortunate you get groups, but they ain't as big as most of us think. So I would agree. Knowing who to let go to make room for who isn't there yet is a large part of allowing yourself that urgency. At least that's how I looked at it.
Yeah. It's that idea of like what's meant for you won't miss you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if we're like really big on manifestation, like a lot of us like to talk, we are. Again, if I really believe that there's something better for me, like I don't settle, because there's no need to settle when it's for me, right? If I want a historic friendship, then I don't need to settle for someone who barely shows up. And again, that's it. Like I don't have to try to go either way. I can literally just move on. Right? And I've noticed that even when it comes to that, God exits people from your life for sure. All of a sudden, they don't like you anymore. You didn't do anything. They're just no longer a fan of you. Right? And then they end up, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Hurts, but okay. And then later, someone comes along to replace that. So hopefully, if people are looking at this thing as an all-encompassing lesson, moving forward does require you to be intentful, and also, let's say, using fluidity, right? Flow like water, just so you can adapt to whatever the circumstance is, right? Don't get stuck. Allow yourself to change with what you need.
Yeah, I think that's call for the season, because right, winter is that like dead time, right? So when I think of spring, like things the rebirth, it's like maybe you did lose some stuff in this last season.
In the wintering.
And now it's time to, grow. Now it's time to see what comes in new.
Till the soil,
what comes in fresh,
set up, make sure that the irrigation is done properly, 100%.
For the next season.
Exactly. Sure. That's what I feel like it is. Like we all talk about, everyone's always so excited about summer and stuff, but I feel like yeah, you're cultivating 100%, setting up for what comes in summer, right? You're looking at your harvest in summer and then letting yourself be fed with it through fall and winter kind of deal. If you want to follow seasonally, like what we're talking about here. And again, if you do that, there's going to be like, think about seasonal fruits and veggies. Again, everything is not always around, right? It doesn't mean you're always going to be happy. It doesn't always mean you're going to be sad. It just means that life's going to happen. And if you really care about whatever it is, devote your time to it. Then it'll come. It'll show up. So I don't need to devote my time to being friends with this person. I need to devote my time to being a great friend.
Good friend. Yeah.
That's it. Good is not what I look for. I don't look for good. If you're part of my inner circle, like if I let you in for real, again, great. I need you to be great. If you can't be great, I understand, but also that's not what my inner circle's about. Having that even as a standard changes how people operate with you. I've had so many people fall off because I just said, no, I'm looking like for a friend I can do this with or hang here. Like I didn't mention these one or two things that were like places to go. I mentioned I'm looking for a friend, like if I call in the middle of the night, they pick up the phone because they know I would never do so, right? And they sit with me and they stay with me just because it has to be somewhat serious if I'm doing that. We look at it like it's like romance a little bit, right? If you look at romance, again, there's a lot of people out there looking for that fairy tale love, not realizing that the only way to get to a fairy tale love is to work and build to get to it. You will not pop upon Prince Charming and they will fall in your lap, right? It would, even if they did, you wouldn't recognize them because you're not ready to receive Prince Charming. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's a different concept if people really pay attention. And I learned that about relationships a couple years ago. There is no perfect relationship, but there can be these certain things that if you do not, like if you hold to a standard, they'll grow, they'll change. And hopefully in that space, you already chose a fundamental good person anyway, so you don't have to worry about it, right? It's that to me, right? Fundamentally, can you work together? Can you do this? And all relationships function from that space for me. So I'm excited about this new season just based off of that alone. Team's different, shored up. We look different. We feel different. And we're literally about to be an extension of what this place is all about in a different way. So we all got our own gifts to give. I'm ready. Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. Thank you so much for watching today. Of course, if you'd like to join our community, you can find us at www.gettingitdaily.com or on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram under the name Getting It Daily. All right, until next time, I'm Lyndon.
I'm Em.
Amy,
And Devi.
And we're signing off.
Peace.
get them.